Okay, let's start. Dear colleague, how do I write the next part? What do I even want to say? Is this best? Is this work appropriate? Oh my god, I hate writing emails. And 5 hours later, I haven't written anything. Does this sound familiar? Then this video is exactly for you, because we're going to talk about things that will help you to write your emails faster, more efficiently, and also short, so that people can fully understand what you're talking about and also can act accordingly based on your message. Because once you do that, you will be, I love this next part, unstoppable. Then let's not wait and start right away with point number 1, which is start with what you want to say. Before writing any email, pause and define the one thing you want the reader to understand. Most workplace confusion comes from unclear intentions, not bad writing. When you know your message, every sentence becomes easier to shape. Because here's the thing, sometimes you know, okay, I need to write a message to that person, but you have thought A, thought B, thought C, thought D, all the way to X popping in, and you're like, oh, how do I structure the best way to explain everything? But the moment you change that and you start, for example, your email, you first say, okay, let me write in one sentence, as if I'm talking to a 5-year-old, what do I want to achieve with writing that email? If you just think about it and reflect, it will help you structure the entire message. So what you do is you write down the objective, and maybe other thoughts that come in, you can put it in as bullet points. But if you have the objective clear, it will help you to know, okay, this I should keep in the message, this poop, 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 can go out. Point number 2, which is know your audience. Think about who is reading your email and what they care about most. A manager wants decisions, a colleague wants clarity, and a client wants reassurance. When you write with their perspectives in mind, your message lands faster and with less friction. Because here's the thing, you might be expressing what is happening in your own world, but if you don't consider how the other person thinks what is the most important thing for them, it will be even more difficult to connect and communicate efficiently with the other person. You can imagine this, let's say the colleague you're talking to speaks one language and you speak another language. Let's say the one person speaks Spanish, but you speak English. And you write in English, but the Spanish person looks at the email and is like, I have no idea what you're trying to say. Of course, you might say, okay, use Translate. But even the Translate tools sometimes might not give you the right translation. If you, for example, use some phrases in order to express how you feel about something, it might not be completely clear. But if you look at the person you're sending the email, what is the most important thing for them, it will help you to write the message accordingly. As we heard before, a manager, they prefer decisions, already coming up with very clear points. What's the output? What are the different steps? And especially where you need attention to or where you need feedback. Another thing, what I like to do is have a look at the person you're talking to. What is the most important thing for them? For example, is it important for them to hear about that there are no risks? Or does the person like to hear that you share sales opportunities? This means when you talk to that person, for example, have a look as to what kind of words they constantly repeat. Because once they repeat those words regularly, you know this is something very important for them. And as you have that knowledge, you can also use those words in your email message. Point number, no, this is not 4. Point number, this is also not 2. Here we go, I got it. Point number 3, keep it short and simple. People don't read long emails at work, they scan them. Use short sentences, clear structure, and remove anything that doesn't move the message forward. This is very important. Simplicity is not lack of intelligence, it's respect for other people's time. The most important thing is, if you try to write as simple as possible, you reduce the possible risk that the other person is not going to understand you. Imagine you write a 5 lines long sentence. It is very difficult for your reader to capture from the first word all the way to the last word what is the most important thing in that sentence. They might need to read through it 5, 6, 7, 10, 100 times just to fully understand what you're trying to say. That's why, as you already adapt your message to your audience, again, try to make it as simple as possible so that they are more likely to understand you. And here's the thing, especially if you work in an international environment, You want to be sure that your messages are as simple and short as possible so that people can grasp the information. Of course, sometimes there is some more explanation needed. So what you can do is either you offer a conversation to explain on some points, or you can attach some sort of FAQs to it or a more detailed document, for example, if you need to explain a process. Because, of course, keeping it short and simple will help you for your audience to understand it. But for example, if you're posting about some rules or policies in the company, you want to be sure that people can understand the bigger picture. So you give some simple version for them, but for those who want to know more, why this? What is the background for it? What is the expectation of it? Or any other information they want to hear, then a more detailed information can be also helpful. But just as a side note, but mostly for emails, but the simpler and clearer the better. So of course, when you write to your manager, you don't want to use the latest poetry in order to impress that person. No, you want to be as simple as possible so they can understand what you want to achieve. Point number 4, make your ask crystal clear. Every email should end with a clear action. Approve, confirm, review, or respond. If the reader has to guess what you want, the email has already failed. State your request plainly and confidently so the next step is obvious. I say here you put it at the end, but sometimes I also put it at the beginning because I know attention span could be very low, so I put it right at the second line so that people know this is something I'm expecting from them. Even sometimes I add some arrows so that people know, here, please look here, this is what I want you to do. So make sure that what you want from the other person, approve, read, share their thoughts, give feedback, whatsoever, make sure it is clear so that the other person knows what needs to be done. Of course, sometimes you ask for a longer to-do list, longer aspects. Of course, instead of setting every day a reminder, hey, is it clear, is it clear? Also, you can just go to them and say, hey, is it clear to you what you need to do? Can I help you with something? Because then you can also understand a bit more of their own perspective and see, okay, maybe the time frame is not long enough, or I need to add some more explanation. This can be very helpful. Point number 5, which is about write with professional warmth. Efficiency doesn't mean cold or robotic. Your tone still matters. A warm, respectful voice builds trust and reduces workplace tension. When people feel respected, they respond faster and collaborate better. You heard that. This is very important. This is a fun story. When I started working, I also thought you just need to say what you think, put it in the email and express it clearly. Until one moment, somebody told me, you know, Louise, if I wouldn't know you, I would think you're a completely different person than when you're writing emails, because it's very straightforward, but it doesn't have the warmth that you have when talking to you. And that's the moment I had, there it is, I had my eureka moment, realizing that when you communicate, either verbally or in a written way, you still need to add that kind of warmth inside a conversation, because this is another way to connect with your listener and get the audience to do the things you need them to do. Another point that can be very helpful is to start your email with a sense of positivity. For example, you have a colleague who worked very hard on something, and instead of just going on for asking more and more questions, you first of all recognize their contribution, their time to make this happen. For example, you could say, thank you very much for your support. I always appreciate the time you take and the efficiency you put into making sure this is, yes, I can do this too, for making sure these things get done. And by giving this kind of recognition, you already put the other person in a positive mindset, because they know, oh, this person sees exactly what I'm doing, and I know what I'm doing is going to add value to others and it's going to be helpful. And you can always adapt it to your audience. For example, if you're working in one team, but then you need to talk to leaders from another team, so you don't really have something directly to do with them, but they helped you find some ideas, or they inspired you to be a better person, whatever it is. Think if you can add it in the message to begin with. So for example, thank you very much for sharing your expertise. This expertise was helpful in coming up with the suggestion I have for you right now. And you can see you first acknowledge the other person, because people like to be appreciated, because, you know, it gives another extra booster for the own work you're doing. So remember, when you write emails at work, put in some warmth, put in your human side, because otherwise they might think they're talking to a robot and bah! It's not going to be helpful in order to create a connection unless you're talking to a robot or AI, because AI, even if you write a simple sentence, they will still answer very simple, very friendly to you. So just remember to add some work. And here we go. Here we have the 5 steps that you need to take in order to write clear and efficient emails that help you efficiently communicate, of course, the important matters you're working on. And of course, not to do it within, like this will fit within 5 hours. No, instead, you can write it relatively shortly. Because here's the cool thing. Once you start working it and you build up that muscle, over time, it will be faster for you. One fun story is, at the beginning I was like, oh, I need to write another email. I really hated it. But nowadays, I just put down my thoughts, quickly write down the objective, and then start writing the email, and it goes relatively smoothly. So this same thing can happen for you. You just apply the steps. So remember, first focus on what you want to say. Know your audience, what is important for them. Point number 3, keep it short and simple. The next part, make sure that your ask is crystal clear. So there's no room for interpretation. It is clear what specifically you expect the other person to do. And last but not least, sprinkle some warmth on top of your email, because this helps you connect with your listener, because they know whenever I get an email from that person, ooh, shut the door. It's just such a nice conversation, and I know this person appreciates my work, or I'm talking to the friendly person I usually talk and work with. Well, you get it. Here's the thing. You deserve to communicate in a way that feels effortless, confident, and clear. Try out these hacks and you will see how your relationships at work transform, how your productivity, boom, increases, and how you will see it will help you build up a super powerful network that help you grab any kind of opportunities that are coming your way. If this sounded interesting for you, hit the like and subscribe button and let me know in the comments which points you like the most. And also, if you feel some of your friends might need it, forward it to them so that they can be also unstoppable. Stay tuned and speak to you soon. Bye.